my parents. So then when I was like 21, I came with a backpack. And you know, I traveled like all around. I went to Banaras and to Rajasthan, and I went to like a lot of dargahs and started listening. You know, like I was listening to a lot of music and just absorbing sounds. And then I had a brief time of studying Hindustani classical, but I didn't stay with that actually. But I think more in recent years, I came back to Tamil Nadu. And that was when actually I think my music became really, really strong. The Paris Cafe, our last rendezvous. Rain swept. You know, like I grew up with classical, you know, like because I learned Carnatic when I was a kid. And until I was 14, when I was abroad, I learned until I was 14, like from probably till 7 till 14, you know, like, and then, you know, I rebelled.
And you used to also do concerts, I think.
I did, you know, like community concerts and, you know, like kids kind of concerts and things, you know, as a kid. Our shrunken heads, reading signs and lips. One last dance, broken steps before your eclipse. But, you know, coming back to South India, see, my family is very engaged in that world. And what happened was when I came back about 7 years and I started spending quite a lot of time in Chennai, I went a little bit under the surface because I started working with Tavla and Nadaswaram. And Tavla and Nadaswaram is a slightly different cast to the high Carnatic music, you know. So when I started collaborating, you know, I had invited like classical musicians, and then I had invited these Tavla and Nadaswaram people. And I found that I really, really connected with them, you know, and I was so curious about them because they were so different, you know. So I started hanging out with them, and you know, and then I became really close to them. And through them, they opened a lot of doors into the bhakti world, because it's almost like a little sub-world, you know, like, so you got your classical thing, which is very, you know, Sabha and very proper.
Very technical.
Very technical, and it's very proper, and the Sabha culture is, you know. But these guys are more, they're sort of, you know, they're connected with the more older culture, you know, like they're connected with more like the Devdasi culture, and then, you know, like the temple music, you know, which is quite trance. And when I heard this music, I just became so excited, you know, because for me it was like, you know, whereas Carnatic was quite austere, you know, like this was like really like almost like rock, and I felt like, yeah, man, I found this, and I love the, you know, the way you feel this in your body, you know, because the body's been always really important, you know, like, you know, body and mind, like to have harmony of body and mind when you sing. And then I spent some time studying, you know, like I studied with Kove Kamala, who's a bhakti singer, and she was a disciple of K.P. Sundarambal. And then I used to go around to the Kovil with her, you know, like to Mariamman Kovil, and, you know, like we used to sing together in the temples. And then I also had a very good fortune of studying with someone called Dharmapuram Saminathan, who was like a sort of, he was an Adinam. So he was a musician as well, and he was specialized in the Shaivite, like all the Tevaram. It's a very old, ancient form, which they still practice. And what happens is, like, because these hymns, like the texts are all like really quite old. You know, it's from Chola dynasty. You know, like, so, you know, there were the Nayanma saints. So, you know, when you go to the Kovil, like a Nataraja Kovil in South India, and you have the 64 saints, which are on the corner, like, some of these saints, like Sambandar and, you know, Manikavachikar, like, these people have composed texts. And so he was like an expert on, there's a special vocation to concentrate on these texts. And you know, sometimes people in the temple do it, Oduas, but they don't focus on the music. They focus more on the religious recitation. Yeah. But he was a great musician, but he was also
give importance to the music part
and
of
the
it.
spiritual side as well. So he had a spiritual side and a musical side. So and he was really, I think, really like a saint. You know, he was a great man. You know, like he had like jata, and you know, like he was wearing a loincloth. And, you know, I would go to him and he would take me into very deep states of trance, and he was teaching me a lot of music, you know, like Murugan music, and so that was really special. Well, I think that's always informed me, you know, even from my teenage rock band, you know, I learned, you know, like it was a hard schooling because, you know, it's like almost like, okay, you're performing and it's not like a sit-down concert where everyone's listening. You have to really project to win the audience. So it was a tough schooling. So I think I've got that viscerality, you know, like from that which I've carried through, and that's formed my approach to the way that I do whatever, English or bhakti or, you know, whatever it is, you know. But the European side is also very, very important as well.
I think before you got into doing your first individual project, I think you got to work with Paban Das Paul.
No, what the story is that I met Sam, who's my husband, and now he's my husband. But he was with Real World Records. He was producing with Real World Records, and he had made a record with Paban Das Paul, which Real World Records gave me, and I heard it and I was just like, wow, what is this? You know, because there was something in the Bengali, like Paban had been singing these baul songs, which are quite deeply sort of spiritual songs, you know. And, you know, you hear a lot of fusion and most of it's kind of, you know, you can see where the joins are, you know, but somehow there was something so seamless about the marriage of East and West on this. And I was so intrigued by who has produced this and who's played guitar on this, and, you know, like, so I asked my publisher to set up a meeting with Sam. You know. So we met actually through that record, and we've been together ever since. Like before Salt Rain, we worked for 3 years. Like we were developing ideas, and you know we were, you know, trying this and trying that, and that was
having to come up with the concept of your first Salt Rain album, before you got into the whole thing of, you know, I need to do something of my own that's creative, that's different and yet rooted. How was that period of finding yourself?
Okay, so you know, so from around the time that I went to India, you know, I was looking for something, but I wasn't sure quite what. You know, I wanted to mix East and West, and, you know, like, okay, it's quite difficult. You know, it's like it's not obvious. You know. So what I was doing was when we first started working together, we were experimenting with. I was like making some chanting, you know, like I was doing some Vedic chanting because my mom and dad used to listen to Vedic chanting. Yeah, so I was like sort of like doing Vedic chanting and trying to write an English chorus, and, you know, and we were doing such sort of experimentation for about 2 years. You know, like, you know, we were constantly in the studio. You know, like we had a little workspace and we were just working like non-stop. You know, like trying this and trying that. You know, and then I think the crunch came when I had a dream. You know, because I'd studied Carnatic music as a kid, and then after I went into rock, I just didn't even think about Carnatic music for years, like for maybe 7 years, 8 years. You know, like I hadn't thought about that at all. And then suddenly one day this dream, and I dreamt of Tyagaraja's song O Rama Ramana Rama Ramana, you know, like, which I learned as a kid. And I woke up in the morning and I felt like, oh, eureka, you know, like something's happened, you know, like, and then I sang this song, and obviously, like, somehow, because I'd been away from that training and stuff for like so many years, when it came back, it naturally just sounded different, you know, like it sounded,
obviously,
you know, like it sounded, and then we started working with that, and I think that was like a real turning point, because I think at that moment even some of the English stuff started to just come together, you know. So
was it difficult for you to like get back to Carnatic as such, because there was a long gap?
No, I didn't really go back. I wasn't thinking at that time that I was doing Carnatic. And actually, when the song came back to me, I didn't think of it as, you know, like, you know, when you're in that training, the training conditions you to think of it in a certain way. Suddenly, when it came back, I just thought of it as a song, you know, and this is like, it's a tune, you know, like, and he's it's a beautiful tune. You know, I don't think of it like, oh, okay, it's got all this gumma and, you know, like I have to do it like that. I just think like, what is the essence of, what is this guy trying to say? You know, like he's telling this really beautiful story, and I just thought of it like that. You know, I didn't have any baggage. You know, I didn't have, so I was just free, and then, you know, and then Sam also, you know, like thought of it like a song as well. So the approach was different. So I didn't think, oh, I'm going back to Carnatic. I'm sort of drawing on some stuff that I've learned, you know, but I'm looking at it in a different way, and I'm coming at it from a different angle. And like, because it was like a catharsis, because, you know, it was so many years of wanting to make an album. Finally, someone gave us a record deal, and, you know, like after years and years of work. And I guess that album was like a sort of catharsis. So Salt Rain was sort of crying, it was tears, and then Music for Crocodiles, actually, that was like after we got quite cynical because we'd done 3 albums, and you know, like musicians were the crocodiles who were sort of you know, it was, you know, it was just kind of a funny, Music for Crocodiles was quite funny. 33 1/3 was you know, it was covers, so we did like, well, covers sort of music mutations really, because there's songs like of Dylan and Hendrix and Joy Division and Velvet Underground and so forth, and they're really different. I mean, I think they've sort of moved on from where they were, and it's a lot of 60s artists. So it was a homage to vinyl, you know, like, because when we were small, we listened to vinyl, and, you know, when Sam was young, we both listened to vinyl, and, you know, like when you put the vinyl on, the way the sound filled the room was so special. It's like so different to listening to an MP3. So it was really a homage to vinyl. So that's why we call it 33 1/3. You know, it's like the rotations. The last 6-7 years, I have my London band. My London band is made up of Arif Dervish, who plays tabla, and he's been with us for years and years. Then Sam, actually, when he was younger, he used to be in a band called 23 Skidoo, which was like sort of quite an alternative cult band, and there's another person from that band who plays with us as well from London. But in India, we've been developing relationships with really amazing people, like over the years. So we've got like our Tabal and Nadaswaram people from Chennai, and we've also worked with like Tappatam, and like we've made really strong connections with folk music from Chennai, like a lot of really interesting folk music, and Bengal as well, because Sam has a very special connection to Bengal
because of his love for ball music.
His love for the ball music, and also he has quite a long history with Bengal. So he speaks Bengali, and he's spent quite a lot of time there, and so there's a Bengal, and then there's a Rajasthan. We've been working with Rajasthani people as well. So that's been over 3 years of work. When we've spent 3 years making it, and it was a huge struggle, but I think it was like really definitely the strongest thing we've ever done. And it's like the very strong South Indian current running, which comes from all the bhakti and the koil and the ecstatic. And we've recorded Vale in London and New York, and mixed. Very, very special engineer, features amazing people from London and India, and it's half Tamil and half English, and the English songs are all really interesting. They're really developed, like they've really come on a long way, and I think they're quite deep. They're the deepest English songs that we've written as well.
So how is it that you basically choose something to write on? Do you choose a subject, or
sometimes
is it the influence?
Something chooses you to write, you know, like, so, because like a lot of stuff, actually 2 things came from dreams. Like there was one song, Orphea, which came from a dream. Orphea was, yeah, it's just kind of like strange semi-waking dream where it was really strange, but I actually dreamt this music in full. It was like a full Technicolor, And then I woke up, and then it's like sort of Orpheus, the myth of Orpheus, the Greek myth, and it's like reworked into Orphea, but reversing the gender. So it's Orphea. Orpheus is a woman called Orphea. So it's a story of Orpheus, but it's a woman. Orpheus is a woman.
It's a woman, okay.
Yeah, who goes into the underworld to, like, because his Orpheus's wife, Eurydice, dies, and then she goes to the underworld, and then he goes to the underworld to retrieve her. Yeah.
So you and Sam are the ones who write the song.
Yeah. And then there's Magdalene as well, which is really beautiful. It's like about a woman whose life has fallen off the rails, and she's calling to this archetypal Magdalene to come and save her, to help her. That's another one. Then there's Raise Up as well. Raise Up is the single.
I would like to know about your greatest inspirations.
My greatest
musicians who have inspired you, or even people who are not musicians.
I like Björk very much. I think sort of in the contemporary world, she's someone who's really doesn't follow any. She's not following any industry dictation, or like she's just doing something which is just purely creative and so in some ways like very ahead of its time, so I'm very pro Björk, and she's an amazing singer as well. Really
Could you tell me one of the songs you really
well, I like Declare Independence, and Declare Independence actually was an inspiration for the song Raise Up, which is the single
from Vale.
From Vale, yes, actually, yeah.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
And can you tell us more about your future project, which is Vale?
Well, Vale will come out in India in January. That we'll be focusing on that in December and January, Indian release of Vale. And then in February we're going to go to Pakistan, and we're actually developing a big project with Qawwalis, which we're going to take to London in April.
Nice.
And hopefully that will become a sort of bigger project as well.
So you're basically just getting into every aspect of
music.
Qawwali
is like something that I've just really been so fascinated by because of Nusrat, of course,
Absolutely, yeah.
And then I had the opportunity to go to Lahore on tour, and so I was able to meet some people, and it happened very organically actually, and then we did one collaboration with them in Jaipur last year, Literary Festival, and so it's a continuation of that.
It's truly a privilege to
Thank
have
you
you
very much.
here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.